Oh look, it's Albert Einstein. Let's press the button and see what he has to say.
My name is Albert Einstein. I was born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, Germany. I began my education in Germany and later completed it in Italy. I studied the theories of other scientists and even had my first scientific paper published while I was a teenager. In 1905, I introduced my theory of relativity. In 1922, I won the Nobel Prize for Physics. After being declared a spy by the Nazis, my second wife, Elsa, and I moved to the United States for safety. My theories regarding the dimension of time, relativity, the solar system, and energy changed the way scientists view our world. An interesting fact many people do not know about me is that I am an accomplished violinist.
My name is Clara Bard. I was born on December 25th, 1821 in North Oxford, Massachusetts. In 1852, I started the first free public school in New Jersey. When the Civil War broke out in 1861, I helped the wounded soldiers. I became known as the Angel of the Battlefield. Later, I started speaking about my experiences in the war and helped bring the Red Cross to America. I would go on to become the president of the Red Cross. In the 1880s, the Mississippi River flooded twice, and I helped save many lives. I wrote a book about my experiences called The Red Cross in Peace and War. It was published in 1899. I was devoted to what I love most, which was helping the people in need.
My name is Nelson Mandela. I was born July 18, 1918 in South Africa. I was a South African civil rights activist and the first Black South African president. I also was in jail for 27 years for false crimes that I didn't commit. Before I got arrested, I was hiding underground in disguise. February 1990 at 4:15, I was released from jail and I was 70 years old. September the 26th, 1993, I was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. April 24th, 1993, I ran for president of South Africa. And on May the 10th, 1994, I was the first Black South African president. And I served 5 years. I was a worldwide civil rights leader.
My name is Betsy Ross. I was born on January 1st, 1752 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. April 19th, 1775, in Lexington, Massachusetts, the Revolutionary War began. The 13 colonies came together against England, but there was a problem. You see, there was not a flag to represent all the colonies together as one nation. I was in my shop one day when 3 men came in, including George Washington himself. They asked me to make a sample of a flag. 1776, the Declaration of Independence was approved. A year later, in 1777, my flag became the flag of the United States. During the war, I sewed blankets, tents, and other supplies for soldiers. 1780, the British left Philadelphia. October of 1781, America won the war. My story of making the first American flag would be told for decades later.
My name is Mother Teresa. I was born on August 27, 1910 in Skopje, Macedonia. I arrived in Chennai, India in 1929. In 1949, 10 girls from St. Mary's came to help. So we made the Missionaries of Charity along with the Home for the Sick and Dying. In 1959, we opened up an orphanage. I received a Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. This helped the Missionaries of Charity become known outside of India. I devoted my life to serve the poor and needy.
My name is Laura Ingalls Wilder. I was born on February the 7th, 1867 in Pepin, Wisconsin. My family and I traveled from Pepin, Wisconsin to Kansas, Minnesota, and finally settled in De Smet, Dakota Territory. All this travel through the prairie gave me and my sisters a lot of time to play and have adventures. like getting stuck in the Mississippi River and riding a train for the first time. We also had some hard times, like when my sister got very sick and became blind. After all this, I finally got married to Almanzo Wilder in 1885 and found that I loved to write books about my life. My books, called Little House, later became a television show in 1954.
My name is Benjamin Franklin. I was born on January 17, 1706, on Milk Street in Boston, Massachusetts. There I had many jobs. I was apprenticed to my brother James. One day in April, I wrote a funny article as a prank, but James did not like being tricked. He was furious with rage. I was scared, so I ran away to England. There I invented many great things and made lots of discoveries, some of which are the Franklin stove, bifocals, glass harmonica, and the artificial arm. At the age of 46, I discovered electricity and invented the lightning rod. When I heard about the War for Independence, I went back to help the colonists in their fight for freedom. When America won the war, I signed the Declaration of Independence. My greatest accomplishment was the country I helped create, the United States.
My name is Walt Disney. I was born December 5th, 1901 in Chicago, Illinois. When I grew up, I started my own company. After Mickey's first cartoon was released, he blew up in popularity and even had a club dedicated to him. My next idea was to get involved with color film. And surprisingly, my first color film got an Academy Award. My next great idea was to make a full-length animated movie. I believed it would keep the children's attention. The name of it was Snow White. It took 250,000 drawings and 3 years to create the movie. Might I also mention it took $1.5 million to create the movie. Then, another great idea that I had was to open Disneyland, a place where fantasy and fun come to life. In 1955, Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California.
My name is Maya Angelou. I was born April 4th, 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri. I am a poet, author, singer, and civil rights activist. My literature spans over 50 years. There was a time when I was completely silent after facing a major tragedy in my life. It was during that time that I learned the power of words and I found my own voice. My biggest bestseller is my groundbreaking book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It is the story of my childhood experiences. I am the first African American woman to write and recite a poem for the United States presidential inauguration. My poem, On the Pulse of Morning, was written for President Bill Clinton. I have many prestigious awards and honorary degrees. The one I value most is the Presidential Medal of Freedom that I received in 2010 from President Barack Obama. If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. I am Maya Angelou.
I'm Lucille Ball. I was born on August 6, 1911 in Jamestown, New York. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be an actor. I went to an acting school in New York, but I was sent home with a note saying I was wasting my money. You ain't meant for show business, they told me. Well, I wasn't going to let that stop me. Then I ran into Sylvia Hallow. She thought I was pretty and gave me a small part in a movie. I had small parts in many movies. In one of those movies, I met Desi Arnaz, and it was love at first sight. We got married that same year. My husband and I started a show called I Love Lucy. In that show, I made many silly faces, like this one. A while after, though, Desi Arnaz and I divorced. My show is still on TV today. You should watch it.
My name is Jackie Robinson. I was born January 31st, 1919 in Cairo, Georgia. In 1942, I was drafted by the U.S. Army. While in the Army, I met a soldier who played Negro League baseball. Since I liked playing baseball, I joined a Negro League team named the Kansas City Monarchs. I played with the Marks before I got called in by a scout who brought me to the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers. He told me that he wanted me on his team. I gladly accepted. I was one of the best players on the field. My teammates didn't like me at first, but once they saw how good I could play, they started to become my friends. I remember for being the first African American Major League Baseball player.
My name is Beatrix Potter. I was born on July 28, 1866 in London, England. As a child, I loved to draw and sketch small animals. My brother Bertram thought my drawings looked too good not to share, so he gave them to a publisher. My drawings were placed on greeting cards. Throughout my lifetime, I published 23 books. The first one I ever wrote was The Tale of Peter Rabbit.
My name is Helen Keller. I was born on June 27, 1880 in Tuscumbia, Alabama. When I was 2 years old, I became very sick. I had a high fever and it left me blind and deaf. I did not know how to communicate with others, so my parents hired Annie Sullivan to teach me. She taught me sign language and how to read Braille. With Annie Sullivan by my side, I succeeded at many schools and entered college. During my college years, I wrote The Story of My Life, and it was published as a bestseller. I was the first blind and deaf person to ever complete college. Over the years, I wrote several books, including Midstream and Teacher Annie Sullivan Macy.
My name is Abraham Lincoln. I was born February 9, 1809 in the great state of Kentucky. I was elected as the 16th President of the United States in 1860. I, without the approval of Congress, made the decision to abolish slavery in the South. I wrote the Emancipation Proclamation that freed all slaves in the South. It was put into effect January 1, 1863, during the third year of the Civil War. I would consider this as my biggest accomplishment as president. My term ended in 1865. I am often called the greatest president in the history of the United States because I overcame the Civil War.
My name is J.R.R. Tolkien. I was born on January 3, 1892, in South Africa. I was a soldier in World War I. After the war, I married Edith and had 4 children. I created my own language. I'm the author of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I have a lot of fans, and the Queen of England awarded me Commander of the Order of the British Empire. I inspired others to use their imagination.
My name is Amelia Earhart. I was born July 24, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas. When I was young, I went to the Iowa State Fair. There I saw my first airplane. At that time, I was not impressed, but soon I would be. I am remembered today for being the first female pilot to fly solo. In 1921, after a lot of practice, I received my pilot's license. I also had another job. I was a nurse during World War I. I named my first plane Canary, but I chose to sell it to purchase a car. The Friendship is why I named my next plane. While trying to fly around the world, I sadly crashed in the Pacific Ocean. I encourage women to stand up for themselves and not back down.
My name is Annie Oakley. I was born August 13, 1860 in Darke County, Ohio. My father died when I was 5. That left me, my mom, and 6 other children to survive. At a very young age, I handled my first gun. At the age of 10, I was handling it with ease. As I got older, I was known for my shooting and acting. My nickname was Little Sure Shot. I entered a shooting contest against Frank Butler. Later in 1876, we got married, and my career continued to excel. Later, we entered the Buffalo Bills Wild West show.
My name is Harriet Beecher Stowe. I was born on June 14, 1811, in Litchfield, Connecticut. My family was very religious, and unlike most families, accepted all races. When I was a young woman, I was outraged by slavery. I had to do something about it. I visited former slaves and got terrible stories from their past when they were slaves. I used those stories to make my book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. My book became very popular, so I began to gain popularity. The Southerners did not appreciate what I was doing about slavery. The South thought that having slaves would solve all their problems, but the North was against slavery. Then, war broke out between the North and South. On April 12, 1861, the Civil War began. The South surrendered to the North. I accompanied President Lincoln while he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which ended slavery. That was one of the best days of my life.
The name's Harriet Tubman. I was born sometime around 1820 in Maryland. Don't know the exact date. I was a slave on Mr. Broadus's plantation, and I ran off to Philadelphia, only to realize I had no one to celebrate freedom with. I decided to go back to get my family. I ended up bringing back many slaves I didn't even know. One day, the leader of the Vigilance Committee assigned me as conductor of the Underground Railroad. I then did my duty and calling as to freeing slaves. Oh, those slave owners wanted to get me. They were bounties on my head. They called me Moses because I was freeing so many slaves. In 1861, I was a spy in the Civil War for the North. Then a nurse, where I figured out how to stop a sickness going around my tent, which was called dysentery. The North won the war and slavery ended. Thank God my people were free.
My name is Theodore Roosevelt. I was born on October 27, 1858, in New York. As a child, I loved books, animals, and nature. When I was 22 years old, I married and graduated from Harvard College with high honors. 1 year later, I won my first political race in the New York Assembly. I went on to become governor of New York and was chosen as vice president in 1900. When I was a determined, intelligent leader. When President McKinley was shot, I became the 26th President of the United States. During my time in office, I was most known for making peace between Russia and Japan. My face is carved into a famous landmark, Mount Rushmore, where you can see me and 3 other U.S. presidents.